Okay, so uh, it's already 10 o'clock, so I guess it is time to start our webinar. Okay, I'm gonna be giving a little introduction to this webinar. Okay, as the assistants are already getting into the link. So, first of all, good morning to everyone and welcome to our webinar today, One Blue Synergies for the Protection of the Oceans and the Marine Environment webinar. We are holding these events, okay, so you all know it, as we are a partner event of the European Green Week. This year, the European Green Week has a special motto towards a water resilient Europe, and that's precisely why we are here to discuss water issues, ocean matters, and the protection of the water, a precious resource that we must care for as we combat climate change. Today, we have gathered to share how different European projects and innovative initiatives are working towards this aim, towards a better water protection and management. For sure, it's a pleasure for myself and an honor to be here as the organizer of this webinar, where I'm convinced we will explore various perspectives on ocean protection that are going to be really enriching for everyone who is joining us today. Before we start the webinar, I would like to remind you the structure of the webinar itself to ensure clarity and understanding of how the event will be developed. First, we will have the pleasure of hosting Alessandra Giorgetti, representative of the European Marine Observation and Data Network and social and senior expert in marine data management and deputy director of the Oceanography section at the Istituto Nazionale di Oceanografia e di Geofisica Sperimentale. As she will be giving us a general presentation on the EMOD initiative. Then we'll have a brief welcome by our project leaders, Marinela Farré and Marta Llorca, researchers at the Institute of Environmental Assessment and Water Research. Following that, we will explain various lines of activities of our project, One Blue. We will have representatives from the three case studies of the project from the Arctic Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Atlantic Ocean. We'll have for the Arctic Ocean case Boris Koch of the Alfred Wegener Institute. Then we'll have Montse Sala representing the Mediterranean Sea case study. And we'll have last Anne Morrissey from Dublin City University that will be discussing the research in the Irish Sea. After this first panel, where we will be explaining some of the main activities of One Blue, we'll have two more panels featuring in both panels projects that are part of the European mission, Restore Our Oceans and Waters. The first panel will provide a brief explanation of what it means being part of this mission. In this panel, we have three panelists. That will be Steven de Graer from the Blue for All project, Aino Avo from the Protect Baltic project, and Uros Novak from the Remedies project. Following this second panel, we have a last one where we will be also hosting this project that are aligned with the European mission Restore Our Oceans and Waters. But in this case, we will be focusing a bit more in the synergies. We are here basically to put on the table to highlight the importance of the synergies to accomplish the aims of this European project. So we will have a little discussion about this, and for that we will be hosting Lisa Sousa from the NETAG project and Raluca Nicolai from the Wet Rest project. Lastly, we will conclude with a brief Q&A session, though for all the assistants, you will be able to make a question at the end of each panel, okay? So for the moment is everything by my side. I hope that you will enjoy this webinar that we've been preparing really carefully. And it's an honor to give the floor to Alessandra Giorgetti, Senior Expert in Marine Data Management and Deputy Director of the Oceanography Section at the Istituto Nazionale di Oceanografia e di Geofisica Sperimentale. As I just told you, she will be representing the eModNet, okay? So, Alessandra, the floor is yours. You can start your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, all. So I will share my screen. Here I am. So good morning. I will speak about eModNet. Oh no, yes, it is eModNet. It is the European Marine Observation and Data Network. This initiative was launched by DG Mare in 2009, and it aims at gather and collect marine in situ data from a wide variety of platforms and institutes and research infrastructures and so on, covering 7 discipline-based themes. So we cover chemistry, physics, biology, seabed habitats, human activities, bathymetry, and geology. So we started as 7 independent portals and lots, and we are nowadays fully operational, and with a financial support till 2029, and looking forward with a draft vision document towards 2035. As said, we started as independent portals, strengthening the activity independently, and since 2023, last year, we launched our unified service, the eModNet Central Portal, that provides open and free access to all data and information services with unique features. So we have now one central map viewer visualizing all data products, and one central metadata catalog that describes and where you can discover and download marine data and products across the 7 thematic disciplines. So now looking at eModNet chemistry in particular, the objective of this lot is to collect, aggregate, standardized, quality check EU marine water quality data, which are relevant for the Marine Strategy Directive and the other EU marine directives, and to global climate change. So we deliver standardized, harmonized, validated data collections and reliable data products. We cover a wide range of parameters, covering eutrophication with nutrients, dissolved gases, and so on, contaminants, which are mainly collected on 3 matrices, not only water column, but also sediment and biota matrix, and this covers antifoulant, hydrocarbons, heavy metals, and so on. It's a wide range. Also acidification data, and since 2016, we also collect data related to marine litter, mainly beach litter, seafloor litter, and microlitter, floating and in the sediment. So we provide information related to 4 descriptors of the marine strategies, and this here. The strength of eModNet chemistry is represented by its network. So we started from the pan-European network of national oceanographic data centers that were developing sea data net infrastructures. And we expanded over time this network with the environmental monitoring agencies and expert institutes. And we are supported by 5 international organizations, the Regional Sea Conventions and ICES, which is one real partner of the network since the beginning. And we now collect data from more than 500 data providers from 32 countries. So I said this is the strength because we are really a wide network, and we have developed a distributed infrastructure where we have representative of the network in each countries that can work directly with the different data providers in their country. So we deliver has that aggregated, standardized, and validated data collection. This is the example for pollution data. So we work at the basin scale, and we have released these data sets from the Arctic Ocean, for the Northeast Atlantic Ocean, the Baltic Sea, Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and North Sea. And based on these collections, we produce maps, which are static maps that gives an overview of the data which are present in the different collections. So we give a map for the example of contaminants. We released maps of the monitored matrices, splitting between seawater, sediment, and biota, and for giving the overview of the measurements counts per parameter. We selected a number of parameter among the wide range, and for concentration values, where we show median values over the last 6 years. So here we gives the overview of the data which are present in the systems, and this data can be downloaded by any researcher, any scientist, and this is one example of the possible in-depth analysis that can be done on the immunonet chemistry data. This is the example done by my colleague Megan, and on the DDT data, here the example in the sediment. She merged, aggregated together the vertical profiles and the time series data. And as you can see here, some examples of maps of the concentration values. In the upper panel, you have the original values, while in the lower panel, you have the average data, average values. This is the example of sediment, and this is the example of seawater. Again, above the original data, and then below the average data. I want to point it out here that the lower panel has a different scale in the data. So for the color scale. So you can see that the impression that you get is really also depending on the scale of the data, on the analysis that you've done. So dealing with this sort of information, which are really very sensitive of the sea, is the pollution which is present in the sea. I want to underline that as chemistry, we do not do any assessment as a portal, but we provide data. It's a data system that provide information to policymakers, to other institutes and people that can make the analysis and can make the assessment. This is the example of the work done together with the MSFD technical group on marine litter. So where EMODNet acts as the European data management hub for many types of litter, beach, seafloor, and microplastic, as said. And we have done this activity starting from beach, where the effort were more consolidated. And I want to underline that we have done this activity in synergies with the existing systems which were already in place, with the existing efforts undertaken by OSPAR, by HELCOM, by the Mediterranean, the UNEP, all the regional conventions, ICES. So all also the research project which were already acting in the European seas. So we were able to, let's say, provide a wide, European scale collection of data. And together with the technical group on litter, has said, where there are representatives of all EU member states, they really computed the marine beach litter baselines. And after that, the European threshold values, and the assessment method for microlitter on coastlines. So these activities is real performed together. Starting from the example of the litter, we are now extending this collaboration with the European technical groups of the marine strategy on contaminants and eutrophication data. We have also a global engagement with the UN Global Partnership on Marine Litter, with the Global Ocean Oxygen Database and Atlas, with the Global Ocean Acidification Data Portal, UNEP-MAP Mediterranean Quality State Report, and lastly, the European Digital Twin of the Ocean. Just to say that this European efforts is also contributing to this global initiatives. We are acting together with the eModNet data ingestion platform. And this platform is put in place to facilitate and streamline the process of delivering marine data from any source on a voluntary basis for secure storage and sharing. And we have collected data a long time with the principle of collect once and use many times. And we are already published a number of success stories. I have seen the Remedies project was also mentioned. So we are really working with a wide variety of projects with this portal that behind it has the network of data centers and the network of thematic portals that I was showing before to support the delivery of data. And that's all.
Perfect, Alessandra. Thank you very much for this welcome you have just given us, for this enriching welcome, and for showcasing the activities of this organization of eModNet, an entity that is vital for a project like ours, and it provides a data repository that we can access to gather crucial information for planning our next steps. Thank you very much, Alessandra, for being with us today in this webinar. And now it is time for a brief message from the project leaders, Marinela Ferrer and Marta Llorca, researchers at the CCIC, at the Spanish National Research Council. Unfortunately, they are not going to be able to attend to this webinar as they are currently on an expedition of this project, of the One Blue project. But both Marinela and Marta didn't want to lose this time, didn't want to miss the opportunity to greet all the people that have gathered today in this webinar. So they just left us a little message to greet your assistance to the webinar from today.
Good morning, everybody. I am Marinela Ferrer.
And I am Marta Llorca.
And we are the coordinators of the One Blue project. Today we are very happy and we would like to welcome all of you to this first One Blue's webinar.
And we would like to thank especially the presenters from One Blue as well as the other from the other projects. Thank you so much.
So those were Marinela Ferrer and Marta Llorca, the coordinators of the One Blue project. And as they have mentioned already in their message, we have today some of the scientists of the One Blue project as we are here presenting our initiative. This project One Blue officially began in January 2024, and this project aims to investigate the presence and impact of contaminants of emerging concern in marine environments, to understand in a better way how climate change modifies these impacts, and to develop advanced monitoring tools and methodologies to support effective management and policy making in the European Union. One Blue has a team of more than 100 researchers from 20 research groups across 18 institutions in 11 European countries, and our chemical and toxicological assessments will be will be involving more than 800 samples. This project will collect these samples from 3 case studies located in the Arctic Ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, and in the Mediterranean Sea, which will be the main focus of the following part of the webinar as we are starting this next panel. Getting to have a closer overview in each of these cases. So it's my pleasure to introduce the first of our panelists, Mr. Boris Koch, representing the Alfred Wegener Institute. Mr. Koch is professor at the University of Applied Science of Bremerhaven. He is also deputy head of the Division of Biosciences and deputy head of the section of Ecological Chemistry. And he is going to provide us some information and a brief introduction around the Arctic case study of our project. So, Mrs. Koch, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Let me share my screen. All right. Hope this is it. Okay. So I would like to briefly report on the case study in the Arctic we have in OneBlue and give you an overview on our activities and types of sampling. So what I would like to start with is why would you actually go to the Arctic to study contaminants? So, well, one aspect which is closely related to the topic of pollutants in the Arctic is that we have strong changes that we observe in the Arctic due to climate change. So in this animation, you see the change of the Arctic sea ice over time, starting in 2006. And what you can see is the typical decrease and increase of sea ice. But what is changing is that the sea ice extent over the decades is getting smaller and smaller. So the loss we observe here is larger than 10% of the summer sea ice minimum. And that opens up a lot of things which change in the Arctic. And one of which is that you have increased runoff from land into the Arctic Ocean. You have open waterways where shipping can happen. That would be commercial shipping with freight, but also tourism is increasing. And at the same time, the Arctic is an important part of the climate and ocean systems because you have downwelling of water masses there, which can also be important in transporting natural and anthropogenic substances. So the idea to have a closer look to the Arctic is not new. So the first massive activities happened, I would say, in the 80s, also closely related to our analytical abilities. Here's a paper from 1984, which describes the airborne transport of organic pollutants. These are chlorinated compounds at that time, dioxins, for example. And later on, we looked a lot at brominated contaminants by flame retardants, for example. So these are two examples for which types of contaminants we can look at. This is also an example from our own expedition in the last year, where we'll be showing you what types of samples we can provide in our case study. This is an example where we took a bucket to sample snow, and obviously this bucket was too closely disposed towards the ship, and there was change in wind direction. And then you can see that there's soot from the exhaust of the ship. So this is also an example of an unwanted pollutant in this way. Another topic which is important is the contribution of plastics in the ocean. And we've just seen in the last talk a lot of data. And what you typically observe is that in the Arctic, the density of data is obviously lower than in the rest of the oceans, which has to do, of course, a lot with accessibility. Here's a figure from Melanie Bergman in the Litterbase database, which shows that there's a lot of observations of plastics in the Arctic. And if you go down to the deep ocean, there's barely any dive with deep sea observing systems where you cannot observe some sort of anthropogenic input, especially debris such as plastics debris. So for the samples in OneBlue, we had an expedition last year in the Central Arctic where we can benefit from the samples. That was mainly water samples, either from the ship or directly taken from the ice. We sampled snow on the ice floes, on different ice floes, and also took ice cores, which we can use to look at contaminants. All in all, we collected over 400 samples, which are currently in the process of being analyzed, as I said, from the water, snow, ice, under the ice floes, in-sea ice, and so on. On the ship, there was a lot of sample preparation. This is an example for solid phase extraction. Our tasks here in our group is to have a non-targeted approach of organics, which provide a background for contaminants and also the relation of contaminants with natural occurring organic matter. Right, and this was the team on board. So these expeditions really live from good persons who are experts in sampling. So the team on board, and also Xianyu Kong, she's a member of OneBlue, and Oliver Lechtenfeld also is a collaborator when it comes to the analytical techniques. Thanks.
Perfect, Boris. Yeah, okay. Perfect, Boris. Thank you very much for this enriching intervention, which has given us a better understanding of this particular region of the Arctic Ocean, and also for the explanation that you have done around your activities in this part of the world. And now from the Arctic, we are moving to the south. We are moving to the Mediterranean Sea, as we are gonna have a brief presentation from Montse Sala, head of the Marine Biology and Oceanography Department of the Institut de Ciencias del Mar from Spain, from the Marine Science Institute from Spain, who will be introducing the Iberian cruise. So, Monse, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. I will share my screen. Can you see something?
Monse, earlier was okay. We were already watching your screen earlier.
I see.
Maybe if you can put a bit less of zoom, or you can start, or you can yeah, there it goes.
Better like this.
Yeah, that goes perfectly.
Mhm. Can you see it very perfect or?
Of
Not really.
Yeah, I think we can see it like this. Yeah, so you can go on. Yeah.
But small or
If you could
I
put it like as earlier, it will be
now?
fine. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you, John, for inviting. I'm Montse Sala from the Marine Science Institute, and I will talk about the Iberian cruise and also the activities that our group will perform within the One Blue project. Boris already talked about it, and the center point of the project is contaminants of emerging concern. And we know many things of them. I will talk very briefly on this issue. It's because you already know, but they are contaminants which it's not that they are new, but the awareness has raised recently. They are mainly chemicals, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, personal care products, but they can be also natural. They can be toxins and also microorganisms such as pathogens or antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And what we also know is that the contaminants, they come mainly from via wastewaters, and they can come also by atmospheric transport. But there are gaps of knowledge that we still have to fill. One of them is that we do not have a map of these contaminants. The occurrence, the concentration, distribution, and the toxicity are not very well known, and data, because they are easier, because they probably are more abundant, it's more restricted to coastal areas and surface waters. And whereas deep waters and sediments are less known, are less characterized. One second step, gap of knowledge, is that the effects of these contaminants on marine microorganisms. And another is the combination of these contaminants together with climate change on microorganisms. But I will not talk on this issue, because this will be done with experiments. And we will talk today only about the activities that we will perform on these cruises. So the Iberian cruise, what provides the specific interest of this cruise is that it will not be concentrated in the coastal samples, but we will sample also in open ocean, where we will provide data to this small pool of data available now. And also, if we have a look at the water column, I mean, the ocean can get to 6,000 meters, and of course, life is concentrated in the upper part, in the upper 200 meters, but below, it's a zone that it's largely unknown, not only for contaminants, also for life in general, and we will explore that part also, since we will sample until 2,000 meters in that cruise. Data and research vessels are not fixed yet, but presumably we will be on board the Sarmiento de Gamboa, this research vessel. This is quite new, more or less, for the standards. It was launched in 2006. It has 70 meters of length, quite large, 15 knots. And it has a capacity of scientists and technical staff of, sorry, I cannot say it, of 26 people. This is a preliminary planning of the cruise. These are sampling sites in the Mediterranean, but our cruise is this one that will go around the Iberian Peninsula. It will have a Mediterranean part and also an Atlantic part. In the Mediterranean, we plan to cover 26 stations, whereas in the Atlantic, 24. 3 are planned in the Gibraltar Straits, and then the Portuguese coast, and then the Cantabrian Sea also. And we plan that this sampling will be done sort of with a zigzag, in which we will alternate coastal and open ocean stations to cover all the variability. In the cruise, we will sample water with this CTD rosette that you probably all know, in which you can close the bottle in different depths. Then also air with this high volume sampler, microplastics with the manta troll, and sediments with this multicolor sampler. Of course, contaminants are key point in this project, but the expertise of our group is microorganisms. So I will focus this last part on the activities that we will do, not only in this cruise, but in the other sampling sites that we will sample. So microorganisms in the ocean, what we know of them is that they are invisible. You cannot see them when you go swimming, but they are very abundant. If we take 1 milliliter of water, they can reach more than 1 million. We know also that they play a key role in the ocean. They are the base of the marine food web with the primary production, and the other trophic levels depend on them. They are responsible of cycling the essential elements, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Responsible bacteria, heterotrophic bacteria, are responsible for the composition of organic matter. And this contributes to the recycling of nutrients and then to enhance the productivity of the system. And they are also responsible for carbon sequestration, especially large phytoplankton. But of course, they suffer challenges in these present days. Mainly two of them. The first is pollution that can disrupt the communities and alter the functions of the microbial community, and also global change, that through rising temperatures and global ocean acidification, they can also modify the communities and alter the functions and the benefits that they provide to the ecosystem. How will we do this? We will address microbial diversity. And in the case of water, we will collect the water. We will filter maximum amount of liters as possible, be 10, 20 if possible. We will extract the the nucleic acids from the samples, and we will sequence these nucleic acids. Then with these sequences, we will perform these omic techniques. And it will depend on the samples what we will choose, because they depend on price, on facilities, and I mean, we will see which samples we address to each of the methodologies. But we will doing briefly, I just tell you, we will be doing metabarcoding, metagenomics, and metatranscriptomics to assess the taxonomic diversity of the communities, the diversity of genes, and also with metatranscriptomics to see which are the functional genes that are being transcribed. So with this, of course, you can imagine we will get a huge amount of data. And some of the things that we would like to explore is which are the taxonomic changes of microbes across samples, which are, if they are clusters of taxa associated to certain pollutants, if we find mutations that in some genes that could point toward some microbial strains that are adapted to certain conditions or certain pollutants. And we would like to explore also the presence of antibiotic resistant genes, which is also a contaminant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monse, for your intervention. I think everyone now has really clear which are going to be the main activities of the Iberian cruise. So thanks a lot for your explanation. And now to conclude this panel of the One Blue researchers, I would like to introduce Anne Morrissey, Associate Professor in the Dublin City University School of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering. We are moving ahead to the Emerald Isle to Ireland, as Ms. Morrissey will shed us light on her research in the Irish Sea. So, Mrs. Morrissey, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for allowing me to present the work here that we will be doing here at Dublin City University as part of the One Blue project. My name is Anne Morrissey and I'm a principal investigator at the university in the Faculty of Engineering and Computing. So for those of you who don't know, the Irish Sea, while we're part of the Atlantic case study, it's actually the Irish Sea. So there is Ireland up in the left-hand corner there and the rest of Europe. So we're kind of an island nation totally surrounded by water. For those of you who don't know where Ireland is, sometimes people get it mixed up with Iceland and all sorts of things, but that's Ireland there. And then we have zoom in on the Irish Sea there, and the Irish Sea is actually that part of the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is basically started to the left of the country, but the Irish Sea, well, it joins in with the Atlantic Ocean, is actually a separate sea all by itself. It borders onto the UK also in Wales and some part of Scotland, but the part of, and even Northern Ireland up here. But the part, the Republic of Ireland is, I'll show you more in detail on another slide, the parts where we'll be sampling in the Republic. So Ireland actually has 7,500 kilometres of coastlines, and it is one of the largest sea areas in the EU. It is totally, the East Coast has less coastline because it's not so indented, but there's an awful lot of, on the West Coast, there's a lot of coastline there that's very intricate and worthy of a separate case study all by itself. The actually part of the Irish Sea part is of the 7,500 kilometres is only 400 kilometres, so you can see the proportion. But it's easier to monitor in that respect because there's less coastline. The Irish seabed actually as well, this is something that people forget and don't understand, is actually 10 times the size of Ireland itself. We are responsible for a wide area outside of the island itself and on the seabed, which is 10 times the size of the island, even though it's quite small when it comes to European countries. And the agency responsible in Ireland for looking after our environment is the Irish Environmental Protection Agency. And that's the agency responsible for assessing Ireland's water quality, traditionally in estuaries and rivers for the most part. They haven't done as much monitoring in the marine as and maybe in other countries, but this project, that's one of the reasons for this project, that it will be adding to the database of the water testing that's going on in Ireland, because as I said, rivers and estuaries are probably more monitored than the actual marine itself. So what is monitored by the Irish Sea? Various things. They monitor, there's a very, in line with the Water Framework Directive and other directives from the EU, we monitor all sorts of things from biological communities, phytoplankton, invertebrates, seaweeds and so on, grass marks. Now, when we say they're monitored periodically. They're not monitored every week or anything like that. It's maybe once every year or once every 6 years in some cases. They do monitor dissolved oxygen and nutrients and phosphorus much more frequently. And again, the monitoring program might take place 3 times in the year. Things like nutrients and nitrogen and phosphorus in particular are very problematic in our rivers and in some of our estuaries due to agricultural runoff. They also monitor for some specific chemical compounds. Of the 48 substances listed in the directive, the Water Framework Directive, they monitor 31 of those. Of the ones they don't monitor, the reasons are they haven't been found in 10 years or more, so they've stopped monitoring them. But the ones that they most frequently monitor are the metals, the endocrine disruptors, and the pesticides. So this is a kind of a snapshot of the kind of data that's shared about the Irish water quality as an island nation of the whole. You can see that Northern Ireland is a separate entity, so we just monitor from up here in the just a place called Dundalk, all the way down and round all the way up along the coastline. They've zoomed in on some of the areas that are not so good. Good is still not bad, I suppose, but in fact, we would like to think that our waters were pristine and of high quality rather than just good. So some of these areas that are good are disappointing, and the red here, which are the estuaries and the rivers, you can see are actually very bad. And the EPA are monitoring those in much more detail. So as I said, the frequency of monitoring is in line with the minimum requirements of the Water Framework Directive, but it is increased in some of the at-risk locations. which are highlighted in the breakout boxes there, mainly populated areas. This is Dublin. You can see that it's very, some of the estuaries are very polluted. If you zoomed in on even more, you'd see that they're actually quite polluted. And mainly the main pollutant in them is actually nutrients from agricultural runoff. So again, zooming in more detail on the area that the Irish Sea that will be monitored as part of this project, these are the areas that are highlighted as being at risk of deteriorating or being of less than good status in the future. So it's very important that they are monitored. Now, I should say there are, in addition to the EPA doing their regular monitoring as part of their requirements, there are some number of other projects happening in Ireland that are monitoring water. Mainly, some of them are out in the ocean, away from the coast. There's an awful lot of monitoring going on in the rivers as well. More so, as I said, that's where most of the monitoring is taking place. But because there's not so much monitoring being done on the marine as in other projects, is the main reason why this Irish campaign is important. And you can see here, this red area is seen as at risk. So we'll be doing quite a bit of monitoring along that part. And up here as well, up here around this northern part of the country as well, where it needs to be reviewed because there's not sufficient data. So this is what determined where we would do samples, because as you can imagine, there isn't time in the project to sample everywhere. We were allowed 10 sites, and we had to be very careful as to which sites we actually picked. So these are the sites. I'll go through them. The first one is up here, is as far north in an area called Dundalk. It's a beach location. It's very tidal. The tide goes out a lot. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Mont Saint Michel, where the tide goes out 20 kilometers or something like that. It's not so bad here, but it does go out several kilometers. So we have to be careful when we actually sample that we can get to the sampling thing. So the tidal is very important, that we know when the tides are, as to when we can go and sample. But it's very accessible from the beach. So it's a public beach. So we'll go sampling there, but it's very close. It's in one of these at-risk areas. Further down the coast then, I'm going to monitor another popular beach for swimming. There's a choice of sampling sites here. One is south of the Boyne estuary, which is one of the at-risk areas as well. And the other one is at an outflow from a river. This beach is 5 kilometers long. So again, we can't monitor everywhere on the beach. So we'll monitor one of the spots along the place where we can get access. Because that's a very important part, I should say, in this project, that the samples are being taken from the coast. So therefore, access is important, that we can actually get to the location easily with all the sampling equipment to monitor. This location here is a marina in Malahide. This is one of the locations that DC are already sampling, but we're not sampling here for CECs. They're sampling more for biofilming, biofouling, and trying to come up with ways of reducing the amount of biofouling on boats and on monitoring equipment and so on. So we have access there. Marine is private, but we have access there through this other project. Then we have a Baldoyle estuary. This is an interesting one because there's an outflow of a river, which goes near an area, Dublin Airport, which may or may not have PFAS. It's been publicly reported that PFAS have been found in this area. So we're going to monitor for those just to see. And then another area close by, but it's a main fishing port. There are 6 fishing ports in Ireland, 6 main fishing ports. We'll be monitoring in 2 of them. One of them is Howth, which is a very popular scenic area. Also, it's one of the more popular venues for people who come to visit Ireland to visit. It's very picturesque and very pretty. So there's a couple of options there. There's actually a public beach where people swim very close to this area also, as well as being in fact, there's 2 beaches. But it's also in the main fishing harbour. So it'd be interesting to monitor there. But there's no monitoring currently taking place by the EPA, specifically in this area. There is one close by, but not around the other side of the peninsula on the south side. We're going to be monitoring on the north side. Again, this area here is Sandy Mount is a public beach. It's a special area of conservation, but there's no monitoring currently on this beach, and it is very, very tidal as well, and it can be quite polluted with E. coli and so on. This again is a public beach. It's stony, which is different to the others, which were sandy. There is monitoring going on there, but it is maybe 3 times a year or something like that. So we'll be monitoring there. And then this is a very popular clean beach at the moment, but it is in the at-risk area, as you saw from the previous map. And we'll be monitoring there. The EPA currently are just doing investigative monitoring there, so that's only periodic, maybe once every couple of years. Then the Frostlair Ferry Port down, which is also in the area of at risk. And finally, this is another fishing port of the 6 we have in Ireland. This is another one down in the south coast. So they're the main areas we'll be monitoring for different reasons and for different things. We'll be monitoring, originally we were supposed to be just monitoring for chemicals and contaminants of emerging concern, but we're also now going to be monitoring for biota. And we'll be taking water samples and sediment samples and some biota samples as well over the course. Now, the interesting thing is this sampling program starts on Monday, so a bit of pressure to get going. There's a team coming over from Spain to help with the sampling and the monitoring program. The extractions will be done here in Ireland, but the analysis will actually be done back in Spain as part of the overall project. So it's a big undertaking, very big. So looking forward to that starting next week. That's the end of my presentation.
Perfect, and thank you very, very much for also this fantastic intervention where we have get to know some particularities around the Irish Sea, and for sure we best of luck for the upcoming investigation. I hope that you can do great research, taking these samples so it can level up the project itself. So before moving ahead to the next panel, I would like to remind the attendees of this webinar that if they have any kind of doubt, if they have any kind of question, that the chat is open for them. So I'm just gonna leave a minute. So if there's anyone who is eager to know something about these study cases, yeah, and for sure, before moving ahead to this second panel, I would like to thank a lot to Boris, Monse, and Anne that have been today's representative of One Blue project. Thank you very much for your time. I know your agendas are quite tight, but it's always great to have you here and to disseminate and to let the people get a better overview of our project. So thank you very much. And now, if we got no questions in the chat, I think I'm gonna move forward to the second panel of this webinar, the panel where we are gonna be focusing on the European Union mission, Restore Our Oceans and Waters. For those who are not familiar with this mission, this aims to protect and restore the health of our ocean and waters through research and innovation, so this is an engagement and blue investments. The mission's new approach will address the ocean and waters as one and play a key role in achieving climate neutrality and restoring nature. The mission supports regional engagement and cooperation through area-based lighthouses in major sea and river basins, such in the Atlantic Arctic, the Mediterranean Sea, the Baltic and North Sea, and the Danube and the Black Sea. Given the broader scope of this European mission, as organizers of the webinar, we thought it would be appropriate to invite various projects that are aligned or that are actually part of this mission to share their activities and to provide us insights into the protection of ocean and waters across Europe. So to start this panel, I would like to welcome Steven de Graer, Blue for All project coordinator and also coordinator of the Marine Ecology and Management team of the Belgian Institute of National Sciences. So Steven, the floor is yours and we are ready to hear you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I tried to get the presentation in presentation mode, but that doesn't seem to work for one or another reason. What's that? Ah, now it is. Right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, good. So thanks a lot for the invitation to present the Blue for All project. Blue for All is indeed one of these projects under the so-called Blue Parks part of the European mission. And actually, Blue for All is focusing on trying to or finding methods, finding concepts to achieve effective and efficient marine protected areas. I am Steve de Carrera, I'm the coordinator of the project, and I work at the Institute of Natural Sciences in Belgium. Now, about European marine protected areas, I think that many of you may have heard of so-called paper parks. The problem is actually that while we have large areas, for example, in Belgium, we have about 1/3 of the Belgian part of the North Sea that is considered being in marine protected area. But if you look at what the measures are that are taken actually to conserve or restore the biodiversity values or assets in these waters, then you can see that not that much is happening. So actually designation is just one step towards achieving real protection. And if we look at just some numbers, 75% of the MPAs still are affected by one or more threats. On average, 2 threats up to 11, more than 11 threats in particular marine protected areas. It's only 0.07% of the total area of Natura 2000 marine protected areas that are actually not affected. And the most widespread threats are marine traffic and fishing. And actually, all of that boils down to the fact that without effective management, designated marine protected areas remain mere paper parks. And they provide little or actually no contribution to the protection or the restoration of these areas. Now, what goes wrong is actually at the heart of Blue for All. So there's a lot of top-down pressure on designating and protecting marine protected areas. And this goes with a lot of regulatory demand. Think about habitats directives, bird directives, that sort of things. And all of that actually feeds into what we call the so-called management, MPA management cycle. So with the identification of the areas, conservation objectives, status assessment, and measures identification, enforcement, and that sort of things. Now, that is how it particularly works today. What we are convinced of is that actually that we have to make sure that we can align these top-down approaches with the bottom-up approaches, or the top-down demands with the bottom-up approaches. And this is where we touch upon societal expectations, and ecosystem services, for example, are playing a key role in there. So what we do in Blue for All is actually to kind of try to align these top-down and bottom-up approaches, is that we work with so-called living labs and information sites. And the living labs are existing marine protected areas for which we have the MPA managers on board of the project. So we are not just reaching out to them, they are partner in this Blue for All project. And this actually then boils down to what we have here. It's all about consultation. It's about collectively identifying plans, building trust. It's about implementation and monitoring, to do that in a consultative manner, but also in a collaborative manner, and to co-create together. Now, the stakeholders that we work with are actually the following. So we work with the governance actors in these living labs. We work with the stakeholders, also industrial stakeholders, fisheries, for example. And then we have the Knowledge Institute, and they are really at the heart of what we are doing in Blue for All. And the advantages of collaborating with MPA managers and stakeholders is as follows. It actually helps us, to issue focus and solutions. We have diverse insights. We have a widely ranging expertise on board. It opens the possibilities for dialogue and hence innovation, and particularly it is a tool for co-creation and co-ownership. And we are very much believers in the fact that co-ownership is the key to effective and efficient marine protected areas. Here's an overview of the living labs we are working with. So what you can see, you can see orange and brownish color. The orange ones are the individual marine protected areas, but we also reach out to managers that have responsibilities for MPA networks. So we do have the networks on board, and we do have the individual living labs, the individual marine protected areas on board. And we touch upon networks and MPAs in the Mediterranean Sea, in the Baltic Sea, and then also North Sea and Northeast Atlantic. Now, actually, what we try to achieve with the Blue for All project is that, as already said, we really want to align top-down approaches and bottom-up approaches. We want to make, of course, we want to take maximum advantage of existing tools. We do not want to reinvent the wheel where that would not be needed. So first of all, have a look at what's already out there. What is it that is useful? What is it that is missing? We want to develop tailored guidance to effective and efficient marine protected areas. What we mean with that is that while we are analyzing what is out there, what is missing, what problems marine protected area managers are confronted with, and what the solutions to these problems could be, then actually we are going to take lessons from that, and we're going to turn it into a generic, what we call a blueprint platform that can then be used after the lifetime of Blue for All to help marine protected areas managers to really make their MPAs work. And to do that, we're going to ensure legacy of and the training for the Blue for All project products. So we are also, within the project, we're also thinking about how we can build this legacy. So, the project doesn't come, or that whatever we developed is going to have a life after the project. Here's the Blue for All project concept. So actually the way we look at it, and this is then how the work packages are assigned to, is first of all, and we made some sort of a parallel with, building a house. So if you want to build a house, you need tools, and these tools have to be properly stored in a toolbox. Now, we also want to, the MPAs, you also want to create an MPA, and you want to create an effective and efficient MPA. So what we do here is, first of all, we want to look at, what kind of frameworks are out there, and that's work package 1. What kind of frameworks are out there that could help us? Yeah, that may be fit for purpose for what we want to achieve. Then you want to identify the tools. So you can have a look at, okay, well, all the steps that have to be taken throughout this MPA process, what tools are already out there? And then you can confront that with, and that is work package 4, with the living labs. You can think about, you can go out and, talk to these people. What is it? What are the real problems that you are confronted with? Check whether there are tools available that could allow them to that would allow them to cope with these issues. And if not, we can think about, and I'll go back to work package 2 or work package 3, we can start thinking about what tools that would have to be newly developed. So this is a very close interaction between tools to solve problems with yes, in interaction with the MPA managers in the field. And once all of that is done, then of course you can start thinking about how to best organize the tools in the toolbox and also offer to the outside world. And then we are thinking about, web applications where actually, MPA managers are guided through the system as to find the solution to this specific problem or to their specific problems that they are confronted with. Where we are now with the project is work package 1. It was the background knowledge check that has been done. What is already out there? What are the issues with the marine protected areas? What toolboxes are already out there that could be useful? So that's what has been done so far. In work package 4, we have been launching the marine protected area needs assessment. So this is where we first ask the MPA managers, what are the problems that you're struggling with? We have also established stakeholder engagement groups. The stakeholder engagement groups just ensure that we do not only talk to the MPA managers, but we also talk to all the stakeholders that are linked to these to the MPAs or the network of MPA. In work package 2 and work package 3, we are particularly reviewing useful social governance and ecological tools. So that's going then to be fine-tuned in interaction with work package 4. And in work package 5, we already start thinking about how the design of this the toolbox that we're going to present. That's the so-called blueprint platform, how this may look like. And with this, I come to the end of my presentation. If you want to follow us, here's the link to our website. We do have a newsletter, so there is a possibility that you will scroll through our website, and there will be you will be first invited to subscribe to our newsletter. So please go ahead with that, and it would be my pleasure to get you on board as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steven, for introducing us the Blue for All project. Before moving ahead, there's a question in the chat. They are actually asking if the recording of this webinar is gonna be shared. It is gonna be shared. So for the ones that have arrived late, don't worry, because you have access to the whole webinar. And I got a little question for Mr. De Graar. I don't know if you could answer it to me just in a couple of sentences, because you've talked around the use of the Living Labs in your project and the contribution that they do to the blueprint platform. So I don't know if there's any way that the stakeholders that we are gathering today here can contribute in one way or another to this blueprint platform.
Yes, that's for sure, because we are also building our MPA practitioners network. So if you will scroll, if you would go to our website, then you will also see, you will find more information, of course, on the project. But we're also interested in the practitioners. So we really want to work with the practitioners. We have the practitioners of our Living Labs on board, but we also want to reach out to other practitioners. So whoever would be interested in contributing and sharing their experiences with us is welcome. And what we try to do is there's also this Blue Parks community that's being built by the European Commission, which is also aiming at building this, the platform to maintain the legacy of the European Blue Parks mission. So for sure there are possibilities to get on board. So please do so. Thank you.
Perfect, Mr. De Graar, for solving this without doubt. And thank you again for your enrichful intervention. And the next panelist I would like to introduce is Ms. Aino Avo, Geographic Information and System Data Analyst at the Helsinki Commission, who will explain the main objectives of the Protect Baltic project. So, Ms. Avo, the floor is yours, and we are listening to you.
Thank you very much. I hope the presentation is now on full screen. So yes, thank you very much for the invitation to come and present Protect Baltic. I'm Aino Avo from the HELCOM Secretariat. And Protect Baltic wants to address the triple planetary crisis, or two facets of it: biodiversity loss and climate change, and also help achieve the global biodiversity targets and implement the EU biodiversity strategy and Baltic Sea action plan that all call for an increase in protected areas. In our case, we are interested in increasing marine protection to 30% by the year 2030. Currently, about 16% of the Baltic Sea is protected, so we have a bit to go. And the difficulties in reaching the protection targets are, for example, incomplete knowledge base for decision-making and designation of MPAs, the gaps in governance, and insufficient use of adaptive management. And it took us 30 years to get to the 16% protection in the Baltic, and now we need to double it in 6 years. But also, it isn't about getting to the 30%, it's about getting there in a way that actually provides the biodiversity benefits, so that the MPAs are not just paper parks like mentioned in the Blue for All presentation. And that's why the main goal in Protect Baltic is to build a protection optimization framework that will provide tools and solutions to get to the 30% target in a most ecologically representative way. And we will develop the building blocks for good MPA management, good governance, and optimal MPA designation using environmental data, science, and stakeholder input. And we will, for example, analyze ecosystem services, MPA coherence, and human activities and pressures, MPA-related legislation and management effectiveness, and create recommendations and best practices for all these building blocks, because they are all needed to sustainably increase and optimize the marine protection network. And from another perspective, our objectives are to establish an infrastructure for an extensive data-driven ecoregion scale evidence base that supports strategic planning and management of MPAs, and to develop a blueprint for a regionally agreed protection framework to enhance governance and transboundary cooperation with shared conservation and restoration objectives around the whole Baltic Sea. And we will assess the current baseline of protection efforts in the entire Baltic Sea basin. And we will identify gaps between the desired state and the current baseline. And then we will inform targeted efforts for protection and restoration. And then we will provide concrete, replicable support to enhance the Baltic Sea member states' capacity and harmonize their efforts to maximize the potential of protection and restoration initiatives. And we are a Mission Ocean project funded by Horizon Europe for 5 years, from August 2023 to August 2028, with a budget of almost 8.5 million. And we have 17 partners covering 7 Baltic states, of course, excluding Russia, and then Poland was not able to join at this time. Please visit our website at protectbaltic.eu. And I'm from the HELCOM Secretariat, and we at the Secretariat are coordinating the project, but I wanted to highlight the distinction between HELCOM itself and the HELCOM Secretariat. So HELCOM is the intergovernmental organization of all the Baltic countries based on the Regional Sea Convention in the Baltic Sea area. It's a regional platform for environmental policymaking with many working groups and expert groups with policymakers and experts from all countries. Now, of course, we are in a strategic pause because of Russia's attack to Ukraine, but all the other countries are continuing the work for the Baltic Sea. And the HELCOM Secretariat coordinates the work and meetings of HELCOM, but also we participate in different projects like Protect Baltic. And we in the Secretariat coordinate Protect Baltic and are responsible for communication, administration, and a handful of work packages. And in Protect, we are in a close dialogue with the different working groups and expert groups of HELCOM, where we get direct policy level guidance and feedback on our progress with the optimization framework. From example, policy representatives from BioDiv or from MSP, from fisheries, and from the ecosystem-based approach, and also expert level guidance from MPA managers and economic and social analysis expert group. So we are in a very unique and lucky position to have this constant loop of feedback to help our project. We are only in the first year of our project, so are still in the evidence-based building phase and defining the common framework and common protection goals. So we are collecting data to feed into spatial modeling and ecosystem services analysis, which in turn will feed into protected area coherence analysis. We are also gathering data on MPA management and legislation to help define the protection optimization framework. And ultimately, all this data and all our results will be published in a new MPA portal. So as we are only in the starting phase, we don't have many results yet, but I can share this year's highlight, the Baltic Stakeholder Conference that was hijacked by Protect Baltic, and we had workshops on different work packages that gathered over 200 participants in person and online to get input and guidance to the different aspects of the protection optimization framework from different kind of stakeholders. And yeah, we are very happy with this event, and we are in full swing to continue our work to help increase the protected area network in the Baltic Sea. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Ms. Owl, thank you very much for your intervention. Before going ahead, a question popped up earlier in the chat asking if the presentations were going to be able to be shared afterwards. Well, this is a question I think that is for the panelists. So, I mean, those panelists that agree on sharing their presentation, you can send it to me. And for anyone who is interested in having those presentations, I can send them to those ones right after the event. And then a little question. Yeah, sorry, other question just popped up. The agenda is available in the social media of the project. We are on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram, so you can check on our profiles, on the OneBlue project profiles, the agenda that we've been publishing during the last days. Now to go on with the webinar, I have a little question for Ms. Avo, because this project, Protect Baltic, is the results of the project are going to be based on the development of the mentioned protection optimization framework. So I would like to know which is maybe the most challenging part of implementing this framework into your project.
Thank you. Yes, the protection optimization framework is a big puzzle where we need to address all the parts at the same time, and we don't have a lot of time in the 6 years if we want to make it to the 2030 target. I want to fit all the pieces and building blocks in space and time, and we also want the framework to be ecologically relevant, state-of-the-art, long-lasting, adaptable, and transparent. And it's a huge responsibility which was mandated to us from the HELCOM working group on biodiversity, and we are up to the challenge. But it's a big task, a difficult task to fit all these puzzles together. Thank you.
Perfect, Ms. Ao, for clarifying this little point. And now we are going to move on to the last panelist of this second part of the webinar. I would like to welcome Uroš Novak from Remedies project, from the Remedies project. Ms. Novak is the project coordinator, and he is also a researcher at the National Institute of Chemistry of Slovenia. So, Uroš, the floor is completely yours. We are ready to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. So as mentioned, I'm Uroš Novak. I'm coordinator of the Remedies project. I'm working at the National Institute of Chemistry in Slovenia. As you can see, and it was talked before, mission is divided in 4 lighthouses, which cover all the waters in Europe. And they decided which is the biggest challenges that we need to face. On the Mediterranean, where we are the lighthouse, we are on the prevention and elimination of pollution, the plastic pollution, and also then the chemicals and so on. So the topic that you are working is to prevent and eliminate pollution of our oceans, seas, and waters. So how we are doing that? It's not directly looking to the ocean, it was said before, but looking to us, to the individuals who pollute, since the nature not pollute itself. So what is our strategy? More or less, it's based on the involvement of a lot of stakeholders. So also the consortium is built from 23 partners from 12 countries. You can see in the blue, very well distributed among the Mediterranean, and also 8 demo sites in 1 lighthouse. So, and this demo site and lighthouse are the main point of the innovations that will be presented there. And it's planned also then to do the replication to 33 more locations. The logic here, like, be very pragmatic, and it's just look at the picture. So we know that's a problem. How to solve it? It's more or less to look at the conscious behavior or build on the creating a movement where every small part is important. So 1 act at a time, individuals, organizations, and so on. And we are open to all the stakeholders. I will show later the results of that. So, but we are building as an innovation action on 3 pillars. Since of course it's important when you do some kind of intervention to know the data, and the science is the one delivering the data. So we have detection and monitoring water package, and we have collection valorization. So here we see the real impact, because if you collect the waste and clear it, it's a visible impact. Then also, of course, we cannot go as is with so much plastic produced and so on. So we also work on the alternative. So all together, we come together to change our habits and co-create a plastic conscious society. So it's not that plastic is bad, but we should be conscious about the everyday life. So 3 objectives, the main one with a high impact. So it's 40 tons of plastic litter collected around the Mediterranean using different technology, which I will explain later. Working on the people-based cleanup. It's not just that they go and clean, they also been educated through our special program, webinars, and so on. And we are collaborating with NGOs. So at this point, we have in connection with more than 20 NGOs. And by this time this year, we will complete 60 cleanups. So, and we have this 20-ton challenge. I think we will exceed this. Then also the prevention. Here also Institute of Chemistry is the leader of this, since we are working on the zero waste cosmetics, and coming to the people at the different festivals. So we are working with Exit Festival. For example, this is pictures from last week when we have at the Sista Festival in Umag, Croatia. 20,000 people participated, and we distribute this zero waste cosmetics. So this is a shampoo balls, which they can use instead of plastic bottles. And we also teach them, the kids, and they can do it themselves. So, and when we do it in few thousand. So basically the impact is also here much. Innovations. So since the project is now in 18 months, we will shortly be finalizing some big demonstrations. For example, what is finished already is the AI tracking system with drones to track the plastics, like live. This is already done. Biodegradable fishing gear. Then we have skim and clump technology for the wastewater treatment plants. So before going to the rivers and waters. Then we have this, it's for the cleaning of the marinas where they're washing the boats. So that this type of microplastic going. Then in Albania, Tirana, I think this in a few months, there will be like this river cleaning system distributed there. Then we have biodegradable and usable biodegradable cups, which will be used at the festival. 80,000 is the number. Plastic boys underwater don't collect the microplastics. Then plastic is also considered as a resource in the valorization part. We will use this type of machines and we'll bring it to the beach that people can try it. App for the collecting monitoring data on marine litter is already been done, and it's available on app or Google Store, and it's directly then submitting the data to EmbodNet Chemistry and Zero Waste Cosmetics. So 2 more slides. So this is the way how we are doing it. A lot of events, a lot of communication, a lot of stakeholders. This is our numbers, and this is the way how we roll. Definitely, you know, we will put also the demonstration sites, and some are already there, but the way to help our ocean and water is to just to work together, one hand at a time. Everyone can contribute it. So the problem here, it's not invisible, it's more visible. And with that, I would just like also emphasize that all the mission calls have this financial support to third parties options. We have selected 2 winners as a remedy. So Guimarães municipality with the project cleanup for which Guimarães, and Explora Interactive Science Center from Malta with the program Iceland Guardians. So all the mission project and also this cascade funding for maybe interesting for the other partners. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you to you, Ms. Novak. Thank you for introducing us the Remedies project. I get just a little question for you. You mentioned some facts about the innovative solutions that your project boosts, and I could see a bit in one of the slides that you have organized a hackathon called Plastic Fantastic. This hackathon actually has tackled 3 issues: detection and the monitoring of plastic litter, the collection and valorization and prevention of non-degradable plastics, and the zero waste solutions. What it comes to my mind, Ms. Novak, is I don't know if you could tell me which issue maybe has garnered the most solutions, or from the different parts of of this hackathon, maybe in which one have been more solutions being proposed?
Okay, the hackathon was like quite well, a lot of companies and ID makers were presented. So there was 26 already, 26 of those ideas, and from 18 countries and 3 continents. We have selected 4 winners, basically distributing from all these parts. So for example, we have biotech industry doing the plastic from the different microorganisms to the analytics parts, for example, from Estonia, Droplinet. So, but yeah, what we have discovered using this, promotional opportunity to the companies to work on the solution is that there is a huge initiative going on that really everyone wants to contribute to the plastic pollution from different way, but the holistic approach is, you can tackle from the prevention part, not producing the plastic, or from the detection part also. But what we're not tackling here, and maybe it will the hot topic for the future, the question to solve is the micro nanoplastics, which in the Remedies project are not the main focus of.
Perfect. Mr. Novak, thank you for giving us this feedback around the hackathon you have organized. And we are really glad to hear that these plastic and microplastic problems are being tackled from many ways. It's always glad to see that there are these innovative ideas going on to build a more resilient and more environmental friendly world. So we have just concluded our second panel. I would like to remind the attendees that if you want to make any question to our panelists, that you have opened the chat, so you can type your questions. Okay. And now we are getting into our very last panel of today. We are also welcoming more projects that are involved in the EU mission Restore Our Oceans and Waters, that are going to be also showcasing their showcasing their activities. But in this case, we would like to highlight a bit more this synergetic part. I mean, eventually, this event is to create synergies, to meet each other, to get to know which are the last innovative solutions in the ocean protection, and that will be the basis of the following panel. So to start with this very last part of the webinar, I would like to welcome Lisa Souza, Project Science and Technology Manager at the Interdisciplinary Center of Marine and Environmental Research of the University of Porto, who will discuss and will introduce us the project NETAG Plus. So Lisa, the floor and the webinar is all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, all. And first of all, thank you for inviting us to present the NETAG Plus project at the webinar. So I'm Lisa Souza. I'm a researcher at CIMAR, responsible for the NETAG Plus project management. Okay, so the NETAG Plus project, called Preventing, Avoiding and Mitigating Environmental Impacts of Fishing Gear and Associated Marine Litter, is a Mission Ocean and Waters project. It is funded by the Horizon Europe program of the European Union and is a three-year project which started May last year. It is coordinated by us, CIMAR, the Interdisciplinary Center of Marine and Environmental Research based in Portugal, and the NETAG Plus project aims to upgrade and upscale the integrative preventive approach that started in the previous project, the NETAG project, and to expand it to the Mediterranean region. So based on synergetic activities between the fisheries industry, scientists, and NGOs, the NETAG Plus project is developing three solutions. A solution to prevent marine litter derived from fisheries activities, where we want to encourage fishers to be guardians and cleaners of the ocean. A solution to avoid the loss of fishing gears through fishing gear location with using acoustic tags, and a solution to mitigate the harmful impacts of abandoned, lost, or otherwise discarded fishing gear, LDFG, through the detection of and removal of fishing gears. This solution will be tested in the Atlantic and Mediterranean countries. So to go a little bit more in detail, the Prevent solution, which has a strong social science component, aims to empower the fishing sector, particularly the professional fishers, to adopt more environmental friendly fishing methods, to prevent marine litter, and to increase responsible user behavior. And to do so, we have already co-produced with fishers associations and representatives a set of educational materials that will be delivered in awareness actions for fishers, by fishers, to raise awareness and implement good practices regarding, for example, litter management, both on board and onshore. In this solution, we also work with the fishing ports to create adequate conditions for the reception and treatment of litter, of this specific litter that is produced and collected by fishers. And finally, we aim to pilot a program together with the fishers to recognize and reward this volunteer service they provide when they retrieve marine litter that is passively collected in fishing gears. So as we know, unfortunately, nowadays, when fishers pull their gear from the ocean, they not only collect seafood, but also various items of marine litter. And some fishers already collect this litter and bring it to shore. But we want to encourage this practice, and we want to engage other fishers to start adopting these procedures and behaviors. The Avoid solution is a technological solution which already started in the previous NETAG project, and is being now improved. Here we are developing and engineering an acoustic tag to be attached to the fishing gear, so that in case of loss, the fishing boat has a device that activates the tag. The tag is always silent and is only activated by request and provides its position for a quick recovery. And here it's important to emphasize that most of the times fishers, when they lose their gear, they try to recover it because they are quite expensive and they don't want to lose it. So with this technology, we hope to help them locate the gear more quickly and efficiently, preventing the formation of additional LDFG. The mitigate solution is a technological solution to address the already existing LDFG in the ocean. Although we know that there is lost fishing gears, we don't know exactly where they are because we lack spatial data. And with this solution, we aim to develop a high-resolution acoustic image system to detect and map vast areas of the ocean, water column, and seabed, providing enough data for future retrieval programs of lost gear. So these three solutions will be tested, validated, and demonstrated in real conditions in the Atlantic and Mediterranean countries, namely Portugal, Spain, Italy, Croatia, Malta, and the UK. The NetTalk Plus project brings together a multidisciplinary and international team of 15 partners from 7 different countries, having a good balance of partners coming from the research and developments, such as CIMAR, for example, but also fishers associations, fishers representatives, and private companies to help develop and implement the solutions that we are creating. Our role at CIMAR is to coordinate the project, but we also have a multidisciplinary team involved in the prevent solution, particularly in the educational materials and awareness actions. We are responsible for the environmental impact assessment of the technological solutions, both the avoid and mitigate solutions. We are responsible for the assessment of harmfulness of LDFG as a new pollutant, for example, release of microplastics, absorption of metal, pathogenic agents. And we are also involved in project communication, dissemination, and exploitation. By working directly with the fishing industry, we aim to make an impact through changing the paradigm of the role of fishers in marine pollution, moving from fishers as polluters to key players in tackling marine litter, marking fishing gear with acoustic tags, and promoting the general adoption of this technology to avoid the lost fishing gears, contributing to ocean health through retrieving operations, and reducing negative impacts of LDFG on marine life and habitats. The NetTalk Plus project is aligned with all the Mission Ocean and Waters objectives, but contributes directly to the objective of preventing and eliminating pollution. So thank you for your attention, and here you have my email and the link to our project website and social media channels in case you want to follow the project developments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sousa, for presenting us the NetTalk Plus project. I know there's a question in the chat, but I would prefer that question to be answered right after this panel, okay? Ms. Sosa, then I'll go back to you with a little question around your project. But now, first, I would like to welcome Dr. Raluca Nicolae from the Dawet Rest project. And she's also the technical director of the environmental department at Geostad. As I mentioned, Ms. Nicolae is going to be giving us some hints about the activities of the Dawet Rest project. So, Raluca, the floor is yours. We are listening to you.
Hello, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen perfectly.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Raluca Nicolae, and I will be presenting the Dawet Rest project, an innovation action type of project that is co-founded by the European Union. I will go quickly through the importance of wetlands and who benefits from wetlands and their restoration. And afterwards, we will do a quick check of the EU Mission Ocean and its 4 lighthouse areas. And we will dive into our project and the synergies with other projects. So about the importance of wetlands, although they only cover about 6% of the Earth's surface, they are home to about 40% of the world's plant and animal species. But unfortunately, more than 70% of wetlands have been lost or disconnected in the Danube River basin due to anthropogenic factors and also to the climate change effects that are happening. That is why restoring wetlands can be a more suitable and often cheaper alternative to building, for example, new water treatment plants. So instead of building anthropogenic structures to help the environment, we can actually use what the environment has to offer, because it can also offer natural services such as space for migrating birds, and not only birds, also fish, and offering habitat for pollinators, for example. The Danube River Basin is a crucial hub for freshwater biodiversity in Europe. It hosts some of the most important sturgeon species and many other migratory fish populations, and hosts most of the global population of pygmy cormorant and the great white pelican and Dalmatian pelican. So who benefits from wetlands and their restoration? It's all of us, actually, because they provide us with ecosystem services that are actually the benefits that people gain from wetlands. So these are divided into 3 main categories: the provisioning services, that are biomass, food, and raw materials, and these can all have a business market value. So we can quantify this, we can see the effects on these. The other type of services are the regulating services that we cannot see: the water filtration systems, the flood and drought control that is reaching the climate change mitigation. And also we need to mention the fact that wetlands are carbon sinks, but they can easily become carbon sources if not treated properly. They are also offering great habitat for wildlife. And that takes me to the third type of service, that is the cultural service, which includes tourism opportunities and recreation research activities that can be performed in wetlands. All the local communities and ports, water utilities, and also the general public benefit from all these ecosystem services. So that is why, in a wise planning of wetland restoration works, all these stakeholders and local communities should work together to find the best solutions to protect and restore these public benefits. About the EU mission, our project, Dawet Rest, is a part of the EU mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters by 2030, and is tackling, of course, all the objectives, but mostly focused on the protect and restore biodiversity, because it is a part of the Danube Black Sea lighthouse area. Here it is connected with its synergy projects or sister projects that are also innovation action type of projects called Restore for Life, Dahlia, and Danube for All. And we are all under the umbrella of the coordination and support action type of project called ECO-DALI. And we are striving to reach the freshwater ecosystem restoration in the Danube River Basin. The Dawet Rest project, so the acronym comes from Danube Wetlands and Floodplains Restoration for Systemic, Community Engaged, and Sustainable Innovative Actions, and has gathered 26 beneficiaries and 20 associated partners from 12 European countries. The duration of the project is 48 months, and we have 3 main demonstration sites located in Croatia, Bulgaria, and Romania, our project coordinator being from Bulgaria, a research institute called Kavribas, and we have a co-funded by the European Union budget of 9.1 million euros. The consortium is formed by a multi-sectoral and interdisciplinary group of experts coming from all fields necessary in this project, such as the natural sciences, technical sciences, social sciences, and also computer and business markets. And we are also tackling the quintuple innovation helix that is made up of academia, research institutes, policymakers, SMEs, business organizations, and also NGOs. You can see here the pictures taken in Ruse at the kickoff meeting last year. Our project has as main objectives the biodiversity conservation, water quality and availability, climate resilience, and also bringing socio-economical benefits for the local communities. And is going through the three main phases. The first, developing and demonstrating concrete solutions for the Danube River Basin. Afterwards, validating the solutions by the local communities and at larger scale, at European scale. And after the last one is the preparing and planning to replicate, deploy, and scale up the solutions that we encountered. The project has an integrated system approach that connects all the factors involved, so the ecological, technical, and socio-economical factors that are working together to engage local communities, to perform knowledge transfer, and to centralize large data and to process it. Also applying monitoring, remote sensing, and giving opportunities for businesses developments and job creations in the sites that are proposed in the project. The main innovations proposed in our project are enhancing connectivity between the Danube River and adjacent wetlands, building a green hatchery as a nature-based solutions, developing freshwater monitoring methods, and also implementing a recirculating aquaculture system. And we are also focusing on reaching 8 of the UN SDGs. The project is establishing a community of practice environment at local and regional levels, involving local communities and stakeholders to address the challenges faced by wetlands along the Danube River Basin. And additionally, this community will support knowledge sharing and capacity building towards the replication and upscaling of innovative solutions in associated regions, in order to showcase the feasibilities of the solutions and the alignment with the Mission Oceans objectives. And here we have the work packages. We have our project is structured into 7 work packages that go through site-specific restoration works and reaching developing of methodologies for replication and scaling up to have a lasting impact. We also have 10 pilot sites that are locations directly connected to the Danube River. We will be applying selected measures for restoration and preservation. 14 sibling sites located in the Danube River Basin, but not directly linked to the Danube River. And we also have 6 associated regions that are located in countries that are not part of our consortium, where we'll be showcasing feasibility, replicability, and scaling up of the solutions. So here a quick check of our main intervention sites. We have the Middle Danube site that is located in Croatia, and its main challenges are invasive species, excess nutrients and drainage problems. And the planned actions in the project are to build a green hatchery as an innovation for biodiversity improvement, hydrotechnical works for reconnecting the floodplains with the Danube River, also assessing carbon sequestration capacity of different habitats, and also performing some monitoring activity on the waterfowls that are found there. In Bulgaria, the Lower Danube demo site, the main challenges are the interrupted connectivity between the floodplains and the Danube River, and also the anthropogenic interventions in the area. And the planned actions are to develop an intelligent freshwater monitoring and management architecture, to develop a Batum power plant, automated operation of locks, and also to perform a methodology of carbon for monitoring the carbon sequestration, and performing the river banks integrity and resilience testing. And the last demo site is situated in the Danube Delta in Romania, which is a Ramsar site and a UNESCO heritage site. The main challenge here is the disconnection of water flow from surface to underground, and the planned actions are to restore lateral connectivity between lakes and the Black Sea, and also restore the vertical connectivity by using regenerative energy. And we also have the hydraulic modeling system for the restoration of sites, applying an intelligent surface water monitoring system and installing a recirculating aquaculture system instead of fish ponds, thus releasing the pressure on the local fish populations. The progress in the project so far involves the preparations for the demo implementation that has involved tendering processes, stakeholder workshops, and also some technical planning and developing some ecological monitoring at the demo sites. And we have been performing the assessment of current ecological conditions. We have been submitting the preliminary baseline assessment of the demos. We have been submitting the demo status, needs and common standards, and also the innovation potential of the demos. And we are now in the process of evaluating the submissions for the associated regions because the call is now closed with a great number of applicants. And now we go through the synergies between our project and OneBlue project. Of course, we are striving to reach the same mission goals, and we are involved in ecosystem monitoring from inland and coastal wetlands to marine environments. Also, the water quality solutions connect us because we are striving to find innovative complementary solutions for improving and monitoring fresh as well as seawater quality. And we are working with large data. We need to centralize it and make it accessible. We also have to take into consideration the climate change effects and to develop solutions that are resilient to it, and to involve a large scale of stakeholders in order to perform the replication and scaling up of the solutions. So this is our consortium. As you can see, it's quite a large one, and I'm happy to be present and to work with all these great people and striving together to achieve our goals in the project. So thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nicolai, for showcasing us this project, for showcasing us the DAO Wet Rest project. Talking about synergies, I got just a really brief question for both of you, for Ms. Sosa and Ms. Nicolai, because I get the feeling like synergies in your projects are quite important. Actually, for example, NetAC Plus is a project that is built on the synergies that were created in the previous NetAC project. And for the DAO Wet Rest case, I mean, you have 46 related entities. That's such a great number. So I would like to know, basically, just in a couple of sentences, how this collaboration between that many stakeholders have helped the realization of the project and the development of the projects themselves. You can start, for example, Raluca, if you want.
Yes, I can answer. Thank you. So yes, working with so many partners can be difficult at times due to, I don't know, communication problems, let's say, different cultural aspects. But I think it's actually nice to discover the fact that the objectives of the project actually unite us. And the willingness to participate in all the meetings and workshops have brought us even stronger together, and we are discovering how to work with each other in order to fulfill the requirements of the project. And I think it's actually a great opportunity to learn so many things from so many experts in the field. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sure that that most of time maybe dealing with that many stakeholders is a bit tricky in communication. In communication parts, we also have some expertise on that. But it's always great to have partners from all around Europe and all around the world, so we can learn from each other. And I'm I'm asking this same question to Miss Sousa, and also taking into account that, as I mentioned, your project is built from a previous project. Maybe I don't know if you could give us some hints about how this scaling up of the original NetAg project was done.
Mhm. Thank you. So for us, it's really important to involve the fishing sector, for instance. And in the previous NetAg project, we already involved with them, with partners. And in this project, we extended. So previously we were working only in the Atlantic. Now we extended to the Mediterranean region, but we keep having them and also some companies, for example, gear manufacturers, as partners of the consortium. And this is very important because we believe that they are key players for tackle marine litter and LDFG, and it's important to have them involved in every stages of the project. And as being partners of the consortium, they take part in research. So they participate in the design of technological solutions. They provide really valuable information about their practices, their needs, and provide feedback. For example, in the previous NetAg project, we developed a robot that we call Iris, and it was because of the fishers. It was after the fishers' feedback that we understood that, for example, having have the possibility to have an image associated with this robot was really important for them to try to understand why their nets are torn, or to see how the nets that they lose, how they are entangled, for example, in rocks or something like this. And it was something that for us, at first, we didn't thought having this feature available. And after talking with them, we understood that it was really important. But also their involvement is really important also in the prevent solution, because they are co-developing with us the materials to provide to give to their associators, professional fishers, and they are the ones that are delivering these workshops and that are doing the awareness actions. So here we follow an approach that we call from fishers to fishers, to somehow to foster ownership and try to ensure that we address the local constraints and the needs, and we adapt to the specific realities, ensure that we use a common language instead of being researchers from the academia to provide these awareness actions. They help. They give a much more. They are much more efficient communicating these issues, and also try to ensure that all fishers are engaged and take actions in the activities and adopt better practices. That is our goal.
Perfect, Miss Sousa. Thank you very much for explaining also this part on how important are synergies to accomplish the goals of your project. It has been well, both answers has been really enrichful, and now I am sure that everyone has also maybe a better overview of both projects. So thank you very much to both of you. And we are gonna start giving an end to this webinar. Now we are just gonna have a really brief Q&A session. As we don't have really much time, I would like to ask the attendees that if you got any question to do it right now, so we don't extend the webinar really much, as I'm aware that all the panelists have really tight schedules. So I would like to go ahead with one question that has been thrown 20 minutes ago, and that is addressed to Miss Alessandra Giorgetti. The question, it is the following one. For EMONNET, does the aggregate data provide insights to the mutual influence that pollution in different oceans might have on one another? For example, this attendee gives the example of the black carbon emitted in the Arctic Ocean's effect on the Mediterranean and the little microplastics in the Mediterranean, if they might have on the Arctic Ocean. So, Ms. Giorgetti, the floor is all yours.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for this question. Really, I wanted to reply on live because it's a bit complex in the sense that we have different lots, different portals, so different, yes, thematisms. For chemistry, we collect monitoring data, which means measurements made at sea. So the state of the environment. So we collect information about the state of the environment, which can be the quantity of hydrocarbons, let's say, or nitrates or plastic at sea in the moment. So this can be the effect of maybe some emissions or some also some directives which are given, some measures which are put in place by the administrations, but we don't give this direct effect of a measure and the effect on the data that we see at sea. A bit different case would be the human activities portal. So human activities provides, again, the state of the environment, which can be the state connected with the ship routes and so EMONNET provides information on the state of the sea and doesn't make any assessment on connection. This is left to the users.
Thank you very much, Ms. Giorgetti, for your answer. I hope that the person that has asked it, that we have solved her doubt. And now it's my pleasure to say that we have ended up this webinar, this One Blue Synergies for the Protection of the Oceans and Marine Environment webinar. Time has come to an end, and for sure I would like to thank, first of all, to all the panelists from different projects, because you have made a little spot in your schedules to be with us today. And also for sure I would like to give a big thank you to Boris, to Monse, and to Anne, the representatives of One Blue Project today, that has given us and the audience brief but really useful information around the project. Also, for sure, thank you very much to the attendees, to the almost 70 attendees that we are right now in this webinar. And my last words are gonna be just if you want to get to know the latest updates of our project, there you have some QR codes that you can scan right now. You can follow us on our LinkedIn, on our Twitter, and on our Instagram, so you can follow all the updates and you can get all the notices around the project itself. And you can also join to our newsletter. Below you have the QR that will lead you to the webpage of the project, and there you can directly subscribe to our newsletter. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much to all of you for this great time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I did. that you have learned a bit more from these different initiatives in the ocean protection here in the European Union. And I hope to see you all again in the following events we will be holding. Just follow us on the social media to get to know which will be the following events of the project. So thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.